April 9, 1994, Pernell Whitaker defends his WBC welterweight title against former NABF light welterweight champ Santos Cardona.
Another left hand. He's getting in over Cardona's right.
Cardona comes in as the #1 contender. Whitaker is billed as pound for pound the best boxer in the sport. Whitaker-Cardona next.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Main Events Incorporated, in association with the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proud to be your bud, present World Championship Boxing. This bout is sanctioned by the Virginia State Athletic Board, Director Doug Beaver. All the officials at ringside for the state of Virginia previously introduced will remain the same. Supervisor for the World Boxing Council is Dickie Cole of Texas. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Norfolk, Virginia, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Welterweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with red and white trim. He weighs 146 1/2 pounds and brings a professional record of 29 victories, 19 by KO, against only 3 defeats. From Toa Baja, Puerto Rico, introducing the #1 ranked challenger in the world, Santos Chino Cardona. And across the ring, his opponent in the blue corner, wearing red trunks with blue trim, weighing in at 147 pounds. This 1984 Olympic gold medal winner has a professional record of 32 victories, 15 by KO, only 1 defeat with 1 draw. And last September, he proved to the entire world that pound for pound, he is the best in the world today. Ladies and gentlemen, from Norfolk, Virginia, presenting the former undisputed lightweight champion, the former junior welterweight champion, and the current WBC welterweight champion of the world, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Collectively, the crowd here bursting with pride. Their hometown hero showcasing his stuff at the Scope here in Norfolk.
Well, gentlemen, we don't need any more words. I'm with you in the rumble, and you know what I expect of you. I want you to touch gloves now. Be prepared for the bell.
12 rounds. Referee Al Rothenberg. Pernell Whitaker, Santos Cardona for the WBC welterweight title. There he is, pound for pound, the very best fighter in the game today. Glad you can join us. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside the Iceman, John Scully. Ice, it has been a very interesting road recently for Pernell Whitaker. Last March, he had the decision win in Buddy McGirt's hometown of New York, New York. Then he went down to Texas, where the Alamo Dome was filled with fans of the great Julio Cesar Chavez, and Pernell Whitaker, by all accounts, was absolutely robbed of a victory when it was ruled a draw, shockingly. McGirt had the excuses about the shoulder injury. Chavez left a bad taste in his mouth because of the draw. Now he goes forward looking to put his exclamation mark on the sentence of pound for pound best.
Now you would think that, but there's a possibility, it's something to look for. After coming off 2 big fights, especially Chavez, that was a huge, huge fight. To have that kind of letdown, you know, it could be a thing where you go back to the gym and you say, man, what do I need to train so hard for? I mean, they can, because I thought he won that fight decisively. I thought he definitely outboxed Chavez bell to bell. So you might say to yourself, well, I'm fighting a guy that's not on the level of Chavez. What do I need to train so hard for? I mean, I'm Pernell. You know, if they're going to take it, they're going to take it. You know, you never know what a guy's mindset is. That contributes a lot. Now, you would think he'd want to come back and make a statement, but you never know, you know, what he's going through mentally after getting robbed the way that he did.
So maybe the opportunity for the Puerto Rican native, Santos Cardona, to take advantage. Cardona has won 10 straight to earn this shot against Whitaker. He hasn't lost since June of 1990 against John Meekins. That was on the heels of his majority decision win against Livingstone Bramble to claim the NABF light welterweight title. Now, here at 147 pounds, taking on the best in the biz.
And he's definitely a tough fighter. Cardona has pretty good power. He's not a huge name. He's not the Chavez, but he, you know, he's definitely a capable guy and somebody who Pernell can't afford to take lightly.
Well, as you've well established, that may be one of his advantages, not having the name.
Oh, for sure. You know, he can look at it and say, hey, this is Pernell's comeback fight in his hometown, in his home arena. They're bringing me in for him to look good. So maybe Pernell's going to buy into that. And that would be the worst thing for Pernell, to get caught up in the excitement of the show and the fact that it's a tune-up fight, so-called tune-up fight. The guy, you know, he's a live opponent. He's dangerous, and you can't let it just, you know, be a foregone conclusion that you're going to have your way with him.
Sweet Pea hasn't fought here in Norfolk since July of 1991. Coming up on 3 years, but he's back tonight. Lalo Medina in the corner, Santos Cardona, the WBC's #1 ranked title challenger. Take it on Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker, the 1984 gold medalist, the multi-divisional champion. Took the WBC welterweight crown against Buddy McGirt last March. So effective, so well-rounded.
He's obviously very patient. He picks his shots. I mean, he forces you to adjust to him. You know, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, he does that so well, but the guys oftentimes, like Cardona's doing, is allowing it. You know, they're not stepping up their game. They're not trying to really push it so that Pernell can't just have his way with him.
Saw Al Rothenberg admonishing Santos Cardona. Another warning going his way, and now telling him to get him up. Whitaker, defensive wizard, such a capable combination puncher, great counter puncher. Good straight left hand from Sweet Pea.
And he's got great eyes. Like he apparently sees everything. It's like everything is huge to him. He can just glance at it and he sees everything. It's almost like he has that Wilfred Benitez kind of radar. Like he knows what you're going to do before you do it.
Saw glimpses of that brilliant balance he also has. And I'll take it a step further. The other thing with Whitaker is at times it's almost like things are in slow motion for him, but at regular speed for the opponent.
Right. That's what I mean. It's like he just sees it all. And they see something and they go for it, and he's already decided to move out of the way. And he counters.
From the corner with Lou Duva. Duva has been there throughout. 32 wins in Whitaker's career. The lone blemish, that loss early on in his career when he went over to France in 1988 and lost a very controversial split decision to Jose Luis Ramirez. Of course, he avenged that with unanimous decision victory right here in Norfolk, Virginia in 1989. That's when he claimed the WBC's 135-pound title. He already had the IBF lightweight title when he decisioned Greg Haugen in February of that year of '89. Whitaker and Cardona coming to the end of round number 2.
Stop! Stop! Hey, Bell, stop.
Al lado izquierdo, Chino, porque le quitas a él la ventaja. Tú te estás quedando de frente. Yo no quiero, dame el aguacheo. Yo no quiero que tú te quedes ahí estático de frente con él. Móvete para tu mano izquierda.
Find your range with him. Keep using your jab, right? And when you get close, throw them uppercuts to the body and to the head, right? You're doing all right. Just don't keep your range. Keep your range. Don't reach too far with your right hand. All right? Let me see you use that jab.
The Scope in Norfolk, Virginia, the hometown of one of the greats of this generation of fighters, the pound-for-pound elite, Pernell Whitaker, out to defend his welterweight title tonight. Joe Tessitore alongside John Scully, Whitaker in the red, Santos Cardona, who has won 10 straight to arrive at this moment in the blue trunks. John, we hear so many times in the fight game of a fighter being told not to reach too far. Yet another warning from Al Rothenberg.
All right, let's go.
When all is said and done, you're a fighter, you're a trainer. Explain that to the layman. Don't reach too far.
Well, some guys have a good sense of range, and they're able to get in and out quickly. And for you to hit them, you often lean forward from the waist up. You lean forward trying to reach them as opposed to bringing your feet with you. And when you do that, you open yourself up to all kinds of things. And Whitaker is the type of guy, he's got such great eyes, like I talked about earlier. He sees that. If you lean forward and reach for him, he's going to tear you up. Like when he's loose, Hector Camacho's another one that sees that type of thing instantly. And some guys you can get away with it, but with Camacho and Pernell Whitaker, guys like that, you don't want to find yourself off balance and out of position because they're going to hit you 2 or 3 times before you can right yourself.
Rothenberger now warning Whitaker about getting the punches up. Both men have strayed towards that belt line and or south. Whitaker comes in with the straight left hand and then back to that southpaw right jab. Cardona catches him with a left hook that time. There's a good, sharp left hand. And you talk about hand speed, there it is.
And you can't wait on Whitaker and stand in front of him too long trying to figure him out, because it's going to be hard to do regardless. But you can't just wait there because he's going to take advantage of that. He's going to let his hands go. You don't want to stand in front of him for more than a few seconds because he's always watching. He's like a cat.
Left hand comes in again, back to that right jab. Cardona trying to find that position and corner him off, but Whitaker keeps moving to his right, away from that backhand, that power hand of Santos Cardona.
And the problem with it is he's coming in too slow. He's not changing his speed. You can't come in at the same speed on Pernell and expect to have any type of success because he's going to pick you off all the time. He's going to get into your groove.
Easy go of it through 3 rounds for Sweet Pea. Santos Cardona, 28 years old, native of Puerto Rico, 29 wins in his pro career. Biggest challenge he has had to face so far, Pernell Whitaker in Sweet Pea's hometown, coming off both the McGirt win and the incredulous to believe draw against J.C. Chavez. Sharp work from the jab.
And I think for Cardona, it's probably a little bit too much of a tactical matchup. And I've always been a believer that guys like this, in a position like this, fighting a guy of this caliber, you have to raise your game for the entire 12 rounds. You have to come in figuring what I normally do is probably not going to be good enough. I have to raise my game and fight with a little bit more intensity to actually win the championship of the world. everybody's tried something against Pernell Whitaker. You've got to step it up and go above and beyond what you normally do, or else he's going to have an answer. He's had an answer for everybody he's ever fought.
Behind just raising the intensity and the workload, stylistically, what is that answer for Cardona? What could he possibly come up with where he would have any amount of success against such a skilled fighter and a legend like Whitaker?
Well, the problem for him is he doesn't seem to be an elusive guy, so I don't think he's going to be able to get up on his toes and make Pernell chase him. So a guy like this, I think his chance is to have a high volume of punches and hope that he can hurt Whitaker at some point and get off. So I think guys may hit Whitaker with a good shot, and they're almost like surprised. And so it freezes them. They don't follow up. They almost can't believe they hit him with such a good shot. I think he needs to go in there and let his hands go in combination, hit anything he can hit. He's probably trying too hard. Like there, he just tried to hit Pernell with shots, and Pernell moved his head and it threw him off his balance. He should throw punches to hit anything possible, and that'll open him up for more punches, because if you try to hit Pernell with perfect shots like you would do with the average run-of-the-mill guy, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez couldn't do it.
One of the great body punchers of all time. Pernell was able to beat him at his own game, just not on the judges' scorecards that night.
See, Cardona's a little too calm. Like when Pernell escapes and he gets back on Pernell, he comes in at the same measured pace, and Pernell can pick that off all day. He's got to, like there, he came in a little aggressively. He's got to come in a little bit more speed, and he's got to, you know, raise Pernell's heart rate up by getting on him a little quicker, because if you allow Pernell to lay back and think,
he's in his comfort zone.
Exactly.
Can't have that. It'll be too easy of an evening for Pernell Whitaker here at the Scope.
No, quiero que lo hagan mejor todavía. Yo quiero que lo hagan mejor. Si nosotros queremos ganarle a este tipo, al mejor del mundo, nosotros tenemos que estar trabajando para el lado izquierdo. No nos podemos quedar de frente con él. Quiero verte combinando al cuerpo todo el tiempo, Panchita. Al cuerpo, dame agua para darle. Estamos. No tiene cabeza.
Beautiful, beautiful. Keep hitting him in the body. Keep hitting him in the body.
Lou Duva is one of the more vocal figures in this sport and has been for many, many decades. There are times when he's in the corner, he's flat out screaming instructions to his fighters. Not much to do when Whitaker's having this kind of an evening.
And Whitaker doesn't strike me as the type of fighter that needs that extra motivation.
Not at all.
Pernell's going to be Pernell no matter what. He's going to do his thing. He's a real professional, and he doesn't need that psychological warfare helping him out.
Well, and Duva knows that.
Right, exactly.
Duva knows that.
Everybody knows
all
their
his charges differently.
Exactly.
And the way Duva, for example, in the 1980s, maybe had to handle Livingstone Bramble is much different than the way he handles a Pernell Whitaker a decade later.
Right. I mean, your own personality comes into play a great deal in how your trainer should deal with you in the corner.
How elusive is he? So skillful, Pernell Whitaker. And then doubles up the jab.
And Pernell is so unique because he's unlike anything that most of these guys have ever seen. So when they throw their best shots at him and he effortlessly makes you miss, that's a heavy mental load on them. They're used to landing these punches, and it's like they're in with just a different breed of boxer.
He makes world-class guys look silly. And right now, for the past 30 seconds, he has been peppering Cardona with a solid right jab, snapping his head back on a few occasions. Cardona fires off a straight right hand, which is dismissed. Now to the inside.
Hold it, stop. Don't wrestle, don't push.
I don't know that referee Al Rothenberg is enjoying his assignment of Santos Cardona tonight.
Fight out of it, pull away and fight out.
Uppercut fired off from the left hand of Whitaker. Well, Cardona has been eating plenty of leather from that jab in this fifth round.
And it's because he stood right in front of Pernell and he looked at him like trying to figure something out. And Pernell, he's going to eat you up all day if you try to wait and try to figure him out. He's got too many tools. He gives you too many looks, too many angles. You've got to throw punches, not even so much to hit Pernell as much as just to keep him busy and to keep him moving. Because if you let him lay back and be calm, he's going to pick you apart all day.
Cardona trying to go to the body. Lou Duva looks on. Doubles up that right jab again. End of 5. Round 6, Pernell Whitaker the champ, Santos Cardona the challenger.
Damn thing off the deck. All right, box.
Whitaker fighting for much more than just his WBC welterweight title. He said at this stage of his career, it's about defending the honor of being the pound-for-pound best in the world. He's done it at 130 pounds, 135 pounds, 140, and now at 147 pounds.
Let go, Pete.
So, you know, on the inside here, they're doing all this pushing. Cardona should be, you know, trying to push for that to happen more. That would help disrupt Pernell's, you know, his rhythm. Get him into a physical type of fight, because obviously, clearly, and we knew this going in, and he should have also, like, in a stand-up boxing match, he's not going to compete with Pernell. Pernell's too elusive, he's southpaw, he's too sharp.
What I find so interesting about that assessment is you basically describe the kind of fight that you would want Julio Cesar Chavez to have put forth. If you talk about the characteristics that you just described that Cardona should be trying to do. Right. Why was it that Chavez couldn't get that accomplished against Whitaker?
I think Chavez is, basically he's pretty slow, and I think the speed difference was just huge. And I think a guy like Chavez, he probably, even subconsciously, he probably thought maybe in such a big fight that Pernell would want to fight with him more. And you know, and it just didn't happen for him. And every time he got near, and again, another episode that came into play in that fight that might not be for this fight, Pernell was up. He was sky high. So
was he ever?
Everything was magnified. Like, he was technically brilliant that night. And, you know, actually, Chino could probably have a better chance at doing better with Pernell than Chavez did, just because there's no way, no disrespect to Cardona, but there's no way Pernell is on as much of a high tonight as he was for that fight.
Let go of him.
Of course, the other side of that is when I asked you earlier in the evening, you know, what hope is there for Santos Chino Cardona? You said, well, maybe Pernell's taking him lightly. He may not be on the high of when he was in San Antonio or at MSG against Buddy McGirt, but he's not taking anybody lightly.
Right. And the thing is about him, I mean, he could not have trained with the same mental intensity and everything, and he might take him lightly in a sense compared to Chavez, but he's still that much better. Like, even if
his A- still doesn't touch anybody's A+.
His B
no doubt,
is better than most people's A+.
Back up, Pete, back up.
And if you're with him, you have to hope that that doesn't come back to bite him in the future. Probably not tonight, but in the future at some point.
Halfway point of this championship fight. Let's listen in.
Boxing, keep moving. Boxing is walking. Boxing and walking. Don't stand still, right? Just keep taking walks this way and that way.
Now, here's where Pernell counters well. He leads with that jab. He's got a wicked jab. Now you probably don't see that in real time. You don't see the effects of it. The slow motion is a beautiful thing. You see the effects of the jab, his head bobbing back, the punch landing very solidly.
No fewer than at least 10 times that has been the case where Cardona has seen his neck snap back.
They're attached, Pete. They're attached. You all right?
You see Pernell Whitaker giving the look to Al Rothenberg as if to say he just thumbed me. Rothenberg looked at the glove of Santos Cardona and turned back to Whitaker and said they're attached.
See, his jab is nice. He's got a very sharp jab. And now he's mixing those feints in for the first time really tonight. Now, once he starts feinting like that, he's going to be even harder to deal with. And again, it may not look like much just watching it, but when you're in there and a guy like Pernell with that kind of speed and reflexes feints first, that's a tough thing to deal with, especially if you're used to fighting guys that are more in front of you, more banger type of guys.
Good jab from Whitaker. Back to it, snap that head back again. That's real time of what you saw last round in slow motion.
Right, that's a beautiful jab, and it's becoming more of an effective weapon. He's getting his range with it, and I would imagine it's only going to get worse if Chino doesn't adjust to it. Which he
just
probably
ate
can't.
Another jab.
He probably can't.
Of course, when it's also coming from that southpaw stance, something new to deal with.
And those left hands, it won't be long before the left hands start coming laser beam right behind it.
Just put a left hand to the body, a right hand behind it, working that belt line, and right back to that so accurate and quick jab. Whitaker, constant motion. That's what he heard after the 6th round. Everything is fine, his corner said. Just box and keep moving. Can get it done on the inside a bit too.
It's similar to the Chavez fight where he has that edge in speed, his edge in reflex, obviously. And he can get away with standing in front a little bit longer than he might against maybe somebody different, somebody a little bit more explosive.
Lou Duva barking out, I want to see that jab. Saw plenty of it there. Santos Chino Cardona readying himself for round number 8 against the pound-for-pound best, the WBC's welterweight champion, Pernell Whitaker. Now he goes to the body with that jab, as if snapping back the head hasn't been consistent and bad enough for Cardona, something else to deal with, and then sends one right to the chest, which is what all the great ones do, John. They switch things up.
Of course, and what he's probably trying to do is, I would imagine Cardona's probably, he senses that Cardona's trying to adjust to his jab to the head. So what he does is he jabs to the body and forces Cardona to tilt forward a little bit to deflect that. And all that does is bring his head back into the range, so then Pernell will go back to the head like he did there.
Doubles it up that time. Winning this 8th round with one hand. Yeah, we've seen that before. He can get down low, maintain that balance, be shifty and defensive-minded. And then stand you up again with a stiff jab.
And the thing about Pernell, his jabs, because he's such a good jabber, his jabs look better than other people's right hands. Like, they hit him partially with a right hand, and it's okay. Then he sticks him with a jab, and it looks awesome. So he gets more of a reaction from the crowd by his good jabs than Cardona does with his right hands.
Now he goes with the straight left to the body. You brought up the point that eventually you land that jab and you keep doing it consistently, and the opportunities for the left hand are going to be there.
Oh, for sure. He's just, you know, these guys, brilliant boxers like this, they jab and they jab and they jab over and over and over, waiting for the opportunity to let a good left hand go. Like, they'll take a round or two just to set up one good left hand.
Cardona has got very little accomplished in this 8th round. Now on the inside.
Now, if I was in his corner, I would have to think in this manner. You're Santos Cardona. You're not going to win a decision anyway. It's going to be a close fight. Say it was a close fight. You're not going to get the decision over Pernell. You're not going to beat him the way that you're fighting. He's trying to throw body shots that probably aren't going to pay dividends, really. He should concentrate on hitting Pernell in the bicep, in the shoulder, in the forearm. Try to hurt something. Try to force Pernell. Maybe he pulls a muscle. Maybe he jams a ligament or something. You know, something to hurt him other than with just punches.
Izquierdo, dale a Guayacheo. Estás esperando demasiado, mucho puñeta. ¿Qué pasa, Chino? Si tú te moviste para el lado izquierdo en el guanteo, bótala aquí. En el trabajo que tú estabas haciendo, te estabas moviendo para el lado izquierdo, puñeta. Hazlo aquí ahora, Vaselina. Yo no te estoy pidiendo.
Just fight when it's to your advantage. You understand?
Right, B.
But in the meantime, you time up.
Just keep that jam. Those Michaels are working bait.
Chino Cardona came into this the winner of 10 straight. You could argue he hasn't won a single round. WBC welterweight championship on the line.
And again, just like in the other rounds, Cardona's trying to fight like he would fight the average guy that he fights. He's trying to fight in the same manner that he normally does. He needs to step it up and throw more punches. I mean, there's a very good chance you're going to lose. You're not going to beat the pound-for-pound guy, most likely. You'd have to assume that because, you know, the skill level or whatever the big difference is. So you have to raise your game, and that means physically, mentally, you have to let your hands go, throw more punches than you would normally do. You're not going to throw the same amount of punches you throw against any old guy and beat Pernell Whitaker. Not tonight, not at this point in his career. You've got to throw, you know, 50% more than you normally would.
And still hope for the best.
Right, you have to hope for, you know, a little bit of luck thrown in there. You know, you hit Pernell in the right spot. Maybe you hurt his bicep and he can't let his jab go. Something like that. But as far as outboxing him, you know, it's just not going to happen. I don't think so.
Here in Pernell's hometown, Roger Mayweather was able to score a knockdown here in Norfolk. That was all the way back in 1987. But this crowd has seen nothing but pure brilliance out of their hometown hero, the former Olympic gold medalist, lightweight, junior welterweight, and welterweight champion in his illustrious career, and now sitting on top of the world as the pound-for-pound king. There's that jab again. Hits the target with ease.
He really does have a nice jab, and he's able to, with this particular style, he's able to pick his shots very well. So he doesn't have to, you know, waste a lot of energy. He can pick and choose and do what he wants to do in there.
Can always get out of trouble too. There's that jab again.
Well,
you know, the thing that gets me, it's just a good jab. It is so accurate. It seems 9 times out of 10, it is pure and flush exactly where he wants to place it, no matter what the situation is. Almost like he's doing bag work.
Well, you know what it is? If you notice, he doesn't jab a lot, like just for the sake of jabbing. He jabs, apparently, when he knows it's going to land. Like his connect percentage with the jab must be very high.
Very, very high, with a purpose. And now picks up the pace with combination punching to close out this 9th round. Whitaker in control.
He's still dangerous, and just keep doing what you're doing, man.
One more water.
Now here we go with a little action from the last round, and to me, this encapsulates all of boxing. He's got the offense there, he's got the defense, the reflexes. I mean, he slips the punches so nicely. He counters right there. I mean, just all around. In that 10-second sequence, you saw everything that makes Pernell Pernell.
Pernell Whitaker, Chino Cardona, round number 10. It was 7 months ago that Whitaker thought he was going to earn a win against Julio Cesar Chavez. A fight that most every ringside observer felt was easily his. a controversial draw. Now, 9 minutes away from securing a win here in his home.
Now, if there's ever a case of someone needing a knockout to win, I would imagine this is it right here. So it's the kind of thing where in the corner of Cardona, you can't say now, well, go to the body and work your jab more. You've got to say, the only instructions are you have to knock this guy, you have to let your hands go, you have to throw punches, hit anything you can hit.
5 straight knockout wins coming into this fight for Santos Chino Cardona.
And it's not like you can even say, well, you know, in defense of the trainers, you say, well, they should be telling him more instruction. But you can't say Pernell's open for a hook, he's open for a right hand, because his reflexes negate all of that. You throw the right hand, he's gone. You have to throw punches. You have to tell your man to throw punches, hope for the best in a sense. You have to land big shots. You have to fight with the most urgency you can muster up, because you're not going to outbox the guy. He's not open for any one punch on a regular basis, so you have to just let your hands go.
All right, I got it. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it.
Boy, that squatting duck under move, that is something that only Pernell does really well and comfortably. Other guys may try to do that, but you may get an uppercut coming in return. Pernell does it like it's just common course of defense.
Well, you know, I was going to say also with Cardona, I was saying, you know, throw punches. And, of course, that's what you should do. But in defense of him, it's easier said than done. And that's another thing. When Whitaker, it may not look like much when he does that little dipsy-do where he gets down, but that's frustrating. That's hard to deal with when a guy does it. And Pernell does it. I don't even think he necessarily does it on purpose. He just kind of flows out of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
It's just part of the normal course of defense for him.
Right.
The way you may put up to block, he comes up with something like that.
And you can't teach that. You know, that's just something he does.
Oh, it was a nice combination. And then what does he do? Takes a step off to the side and places that stinging jab again before coming into the corner and landing headshots. What a really nice way to close out this 10th round by Pernell Whitaker.
Hold it.
No puedo hacer más nada.
Running numbers on him, so he can't fire back. 3 more punches. You understand? No one punch.
Breathe in, breathe in.
Now you're doing a good job. Just keep doing what you're doing. You understand? Watch recently with that left cross.
And here's Pernell with his best shots of the fight. I think he's feeling himself. He senses the end is near of the entire fight, so he's having a little bit of fun in there, showing the hometown fans some offense. He's relaxing and letting his hands go. He got caught with a couple shots there, but he returns fire much harder. So you know, he's punctuating the night. He didn't even need to do that, but he just did it for the fans, I think, probably more than anything.
I agree. He said, hey, I've brought this thing to now the championship rounds. Here we are on the verge of round number 11. Let me give him a little something. I know I'm in control. I know I can accomplish the task. Pernell Whitaker in the red trunks. Pound for pound best in the world. Santos Cardona came into this the winner of 10 straight. But it has been an uphill battle for 10 straight rounds.
And you know what's amazing to me about boxing at this level? Pernell, anybody else in the world, to easily defeat a guy like Santos Cardona with the knockout ratio and the history that he has, when this fight would be over, they'd jump in celebration. And I guarantee you, when this fight's over, Pernell's going to shrug, like, you know, another day at the office. It's not even that big of a deal to him, apparently, in the grand scheme of things, where it's, you know, to an average guy, would be a huge win.
3 left hands to the belt line. Well, he's barely breathing hard after that 10th round. And remember, he finished off the end of that 10th round with the big exchange, and he casually walked back to the corner, and I don't even think he had his mouth open.
Right, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, to him, at this level, it's not such a big deal. Where the average top 10 guy, to do this to Santos Cardona would be huge for them. It'd be a big deal. But Pernell, he's Pernell, and that's the difference between the great fighters and the good fighters and the pretty good fighters.
Tossed out a right hook that time as Chino came forward.
It's almost like you get the feeling, it's almost like Pernell is working on something here. Like he's almost practicing a couple things just while he has a couple rounds to do it in.
That'll get your attention.
They're attached. I can't do anything about it, Pete.
Whitaker complaining one more time. And you heard Al Rothenberg tell him they're attached. I can't do anything about it. And he's complaining about the thumbing from Cardona. Good exchange there. Whitaker released 2 clean punches and then ducked under. Coming to the end of this 11th round, they will have 1 more to go. Sweet Pea in control.
Hold it, that's enough.
A little something after the bell. Oh, Sweet Pea goes Sour Patch on him.
Come back.
Chino Cardona coming out for round number 12. Pernell Whitaker in front of his home fans here at The Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. He has put on quite a show, showing off all the skills. John, you made the comment about a round ago when he finished up that 10th round so strong, showing some offense, that maybe he was giving something to the hometown fans. Do you expect that to be the case here in round number 12, or do you think he will take the advice of his corner, which is don't get into a fight with this guy, just keep doing what you're doing?
I would think he would want it to finish with a little bit of flair. I don't think he's going to want to let the last round be dull. I think he'll want to put a little pizzazz into it.
Cardona was able to land a left hook. You see Whitaker,
like
now
that.
He's having some fun.
See, there
this is exactly what we expected. You can see him bouncing around and the hands down near the waist, and now ducking under, and he'll every so often be able to get away before getting back in with more punches and stuff like that, making his opponent look silly missing.
And again, it's amazing. Like, he's making it look so easy. You know, there'll probably be people out there saying, this guy Cardona, he didn't even deserve a title shot, but he's a much better fighter than he's showing here, than he's able to show. And that's more to the credit of Pernell, how great Pernell really is.
Break. Hold it. Stop punching. Stop punching. Come on, don't mess
For a fight that's been seemingly one-sided, Al Rothenberger, the referee, has had a busy evening.
Right, he's had to jump in there a few times, but you know, like the thing with the thumbs. I mean, I don't really know what to make of that, because there's no thumb to get hit with, apparently.
Really, the only issues that Pernell Whitaker has had, he's been complaining every so often.
But again,
Cardona trying to go to the body.
You know, and there's less than a minute left. I mean, you have to think Cardona. These punches aren't going to work. It's not going to get it done. You have to throw wild punches. Like, you have to literally almost like forget everything you've learned and just go for the home run. You have to go for the Grand Slam home run, or else it's over. There's no way you can win, obviously. And, you know, that's easier said than done. He's probably pretty tired from chasing Pernell around.
Let's see if Cardona can unload all of his ammo here in the final moments of this final minute. He's got to go for broke.
He's got to go for it. He's got to throw the biggest shots he could imagine.
Sweet Pea goes down and rolling in a slip.
I thought he got hit on the shoulder.
I thought he got hit with a left hand, but it has not scored a knockdown, as if it would have mattered anyways on the scorecards. He's up so big, but nonetheless, it did look like that should have been ruled a knockdown.
I thought
even though it was a knockdown.
I thought it might have hit
effect.
him on the shoulder. We have to see the replay.
Yeah, it wasn't a scoring blow.
No.
But I don't know that it was necessarily a slip either.
Well, I guess technically if you get hit on the body and go down.
I'll tell you this, though. He needed a lot more than one single knockdown in the 12th round regardless, even though it was not ruled. And you can see Whitaker saying, yes, I appreciate you and thank you to his home fans. It has been a long road back for Pernell Whitaker, fighting the mega fights in New York against McGirt, in San Antonio, the draw, the controversial draw against Chavez, and now he comes back home, universally recognized as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, and he proved tonight that he will have that crown for seemingly many years to come. A convincing effort against Chino Cardona. For the judges' scores, let's send it up to the ring to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Larry O'Connell scores the bout 119 to 111. Jim Traylor scores it 119 to 109. And Francisco Manzano scores the bout 119 to 109 for the winner. And still, WBC welterweight champion of the world from Norfolk, Virginia, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
The pound-for-pound crown created for Sugar Ray Robinson, worn well by Pernell Whitaker. Thanks for being